Hey guys, and welcome back to another video in my Mira's Finest series. This time we'll be taking on Nardacyon using Alexa. And as per usual, I'm going to be kind of talking about how Alexa plays in a solo and a team setting, and then kind of going through the build that I'm going to be running for this specific fight. So, Alexa is definitely a character that performs better in a solo setting than a team setting. She doesn't have a lot of arts that really, she doesn't have a lot of party support arts, so a lot of her arts focus on just helping herself. So she's a decent character in that regard, but she's not something that I would probably have on the AI a lot of times. And yeah, that's really about all I have to say about that. So I'm going to go ahead and start kind of talking through the arts that she has access to so you can kind of get a better idea for how she plays. Auras are some of the most important arts, so that's what I'm going to go with first. Gun Force is a pretty good aura on its own, but it's not very good on Alexa. Alexa doesn't have a whole lot of ranged arts that she can really make use of with this. And while critical chance and secondary cooldown reduced are both nice to have, I don't think it's necessarily worth running the aura for here on Alexa. She also has access to Raijin. This is her Reflect aura, which I personally don't like using Reflect. I just don't find it to be very interesting or fun, so I just don't. But if you are okay with running it, I just recommend running it. It's pretty good. It also boosts critical chance and restores HP when using arts, so just all around a pretty solid aura. Next up is Medic Free. The boosted debuff resistance that you get from Medic Free, it's a decent amount, but it's not really enough to be worth relying on. The big thing about it is that it auto-revives you on incapacitation, and when you have the secondary cooldown, you get the level 6 aura, which revives you to full HP. This might seem kind of like a gimmicky aura at first, but it does actually have some uses in cases where you either don't have 100 attribute resistance to make it so you're only taking 1 damage, or where you are playing a character who has a lot of HP, like the build I'm running on Alexa does. Then her final aura is Overclock. This is just simply not a good aura. I can't really recommend running it in any situation if you are wanting a ground build. Yeah, not really a lot more to say about that. And then for kind of the specifics of some of her other arts, she does have some pretty good purple arts. Decoy on Overwhelm and Flash Grenade are all good for maintaining TP during Overdrive, with all of them either having immediate reuse or, in the case of Overwhelm, being a 3-hit art with, doesn't have immediate reuse for the secondary cooldown, but the 3 hits kind of make up for that. She also has access to Assault Hammer, which is probably one of the best top arts in the game because it does not require TP to activate. If I remember correctly, she doesn't have access to Long Topple, so that's not the best thing, but if you just want to run it on her for something, just to topple something, and yeah, just in general, it can still be useful. And the last thing worth noting about kind of noteworthy things about her are that her only buffing arts both grant Supercharge. She has Power Dive and Hair Trigger. And because this kind of makes her not the best in terms of, well, buffing. There's not really a whole lot she can do. She can't boost her resistances. She can't really support the team. She can't heal herself, aside from her auras, and that kind of limits what she can do a lot of the time. So I've been talking a lot about kind of the bad of her, so let's talk about some of the good. She does have some very good melee arts. Kind of the big one being Maximum Voltage, which is a 12 hit count. It's not the strongest TP art, but it being 12 hit count, relatively short animation for 12 hit count, and getting 800% additive damage for if you have a broken skill, does make it a pretty decent art if you are able to, if you're in a fight where you can controllably break your skill and not be in trouble. Other than that, she has access to Spiral Horn and Arcing Horn, which inflict melee or physical resistance down and electric resistance down respectively, which can be nice if you're running a physical or electric build. And other than that, I don't think there's a whole lot more to talk about what she gets out of her auras, or out of her arts that is particularly noteworthy. So I'm just going to go ahead and start talking about the build that I'm going to be running now. So you can see my resistances that I'm going to be running here, and one of the things you might notice is that I don't have a lot of thermal resistance. I'll be kind of getting into that a bit more as I start talking about the build in more detail, but just know that that will become noteworthy during phase 3 of the fight, just that I have very low thermal resistance. So I'm just simply, for my gear, I'm just running, basically I want to have as much potential as I can without sacrificing any of my defensive augments, because I kind of need all of them. So you can kind of look at my gear now. And the reason why I want to have pretty decently high potential is because I want to be using maximum voltage for the majority of the DPS on this build. I'm running 2 night vision augments to make sure I can actually hit my attacks during phase 3, and then arts gain TP is mostly just there for the start of the overdrive and for building up TP before the battle. It's not because of overwhelm, it's not going to be super pertinent during the fight itself, but it's something that I just simply have there because. Then the other thing to note is that I'm running weapon attack power instead of something like appendage crusher. Appendage crusher might be better here, but during phase 3, Nardacyon breaks all his all his appendages off, so appendage crusher would be useless during that phase. There could probably still be an argument made for running appendage crusher for the first 2 phases, and then because Nardacyon's defense drops in phase 3 anyways, but I'm still just running weapon attack power because with only a -3 appendage hardness, it's not the biggest boost to damage. For my aura, I'm running medic free for this build. The reason for that is that, as you saw, I'm not able to stack up super high on all the resistances. I only have 25 thermal resistance, for example. And because of that, I'm gonna probably end up running out of HP, especially due to the lack of direct healing. So I want to have medic free to kind of help keep me alive. And it's, like I said, it is a genuinely pretty decent aura. So yeah, that's about all I have to say about that. Power Dive and Hair Trigger, these both grant Supercharge, which increases the damage of your next hit. Worth knowing that it is next hit, not next art. Or I guess next art hit. I don't think auto attacks trigger the Supercharge, but the reason why I make that distinction is that Maximum Voltage is a 12 hit count art, and Supercharge will only apply to the first hit of Maximum Voltage. So it is not very... It doesn't synergize very well with arts like Maximum Voltage. It would synergize better with something like Trident Buster. But Trident Buster isn't the best art, so I don't want to be running it, just in general. Furious Blast. My ranged attack isn't super high, but it's high enough to where my ranged arts will be hitting during phase 1. So this will help me build my overdrive count quickly without having to use the TP art in Maximum Voltage. Overwhelm, 3 hit count purple art will help me maintain my TP. Spiral, Arcing Horn, and Maximum Voltage are all just kind of here as my DPS arts. Arcing Horn will inflict electric resistance down, which will be quite handy because I am running an electric javelin, so that will increase my damage even more so than it already would be because Nardacyon is relatively low in electric resistance. And that's about it for the arts. So let's get into the skills. TP Overdrive, kind of like the arts gain TP. This is just here because I don't really have anything better to be running. Then Steel Flesh and Fortified Flesh are boosting my HP, which will then make Medic Free stronger because it'll heal more HP when I become incapacitated. That's about all I have to say about this build, so with that out of the way, I'm just going to go ahead and hop into the fight. So something I kind of want to talk about before the fight goes on for too long is that the reason why I'm not running thermal resistance is the resistance that I'm kind of not running a lot of is because throughout most of the fight, Nardacyon only has a single thermal art, the one that inflicts loading, the one that inflicts blaze, which it's because it's only 1 hit count, I don't have to worry about it really killing me, yeah, just in general, through medic free. So that's one of the reasons why I'm skimping out, but I did mention earlier phase 3 could become a problem, and the reason for that is that during phase 3, Nardacyon gets access to a few more thermal attribute attacks, namely a missile, I believe it's called, which is a 4 hit count thermal art. And that can actually be a little bit dangerous, so once I get to phase 3, I'm going to basically want to try and end the fight kind of quickly. So So I haven't really talked too much about what I'm actually doing in the fight. I use Furious Blast and Maximum Voltage to build up my overdrive count, and I basically want to inflict electric resistance down with Arcing Horn, then just follow up with a Maximum Voltage. Because Arcing Horn is only single hit, loading, it scales better with Supercharge than something like Maximum Voltage does, so if possible, I'll probably want to be trying to, I'm probably going to get hit by that, even though I missed time to power dive, but whatever. But, yeah, it's, I don't really know what I was saying there. I guess I can also talk about the electric, why I'm running more electric resistance than thermal resistance. Is basically just that Nardacyon really likes spamming the shock attack, so I figured it was just a bit safer to have high electric resistance because of that. And yeah, and Ellie a lot more to say about that. He also, whenever entering phase 3, he'll use essentially the electric attack but a bunch of times. And because of that, having high electric resistance is kind of nice because that is a multi-hit art. I'm gonna try and power dive it. Nice, I got the timing, let's go. I did the gimmick. But yeah, like I said, I am gonna kind of want to try and end this fight kind of quickly from here. Because Missile is a 4-hit count art, and each hit does do a non-trivial amount of damage to me right now. Just due to it only having 25 thermal resistance. He hasn't actually used it yet. Yeah, there it is. You can see it actually does a decent amount of damage. But this should finish him off. Yep. So Alexa, probably not the best character that has been showcased in this series, but I do think that this was a fun and interesting build, and I hope that you thought so and enjoyed it as well. But with all that out of the way, I think that's gonna be it for this video. Have a good one.